Next guest is going to be weighing in on Elon Musk and Tesla, the markets, and much more. We want to welcome billionaire investor Ron Barron of Barron Capital, the chairman and CEO there. And Ron, it's always great to see you. Thank you for coming in today.
Judy said don't use the word billionaire.
You didn't. You didn't. Unfortunately, we did, because we have to call it like it is.
All right, multi-billionaire. Fine.
Yeah, there you go.
So before we talk about this, I just want to know, did you guys see over the weekend the article on the front page of the New York Times? Do you read the New York Times at all?
No.
Yes, I
No.
do.
So passing by a newsstand, you could have
Stick
seen
needles in my eyes.
You could have seen it. And basically it was talking about how Elon has brought the internet, broadband, satellite to the Amazon in Brazil. Brought to the Amazon. People don't have clothes, and now they have the Amazon. Now they have the internet. Unbelievable what he's done. Unbelievable, changing the world.
You know, it's been a big deal in Ukraine, too, on the war front. Hey, before we jump into what you think about Tesla and the pay package, whether you're going to vote in support of that, why don't we talk about how much you own? Because I was looking, and it looks like I've known you've been a very long-time holder. Some of your funds own 2.7%, 3%, 2.8%. The Barron Partners Fund is almost 30% long position in Tesla. So you are a massive shareholder.
It's also $13 cost. So, you know, so we've owned it since 2014, 2016. Between 2014, so I met him in 2010. 2014 and 16, it took me 4 years. He said, "What took you so long?" 2014 to 16, we invested $400 million, made about $5 billion at the peak. Now we made about $4 billion, sold about a quarter of our stock 3 years ago.
How much do you hold now, though, in total? How many shares?
I don't remember the number, but it's a big percentage of our assets. It's 7 or 8% of our assets in total.
So what do you think about this pay package? This is a pay package that shareholders approved once this Delaware judge has overturned it, and now it's going back to the shareholders again. How will you vote your shares?
We're voting for the package. But before I talk about that, there's 3 things I want to discuss with you today. Number 1 is contracts, of course. Then I want to talk about Elon's ecosystem, you know, all the different things he's doing. And then Elon, I want to talk about that, what he's accomplished. So about the contract. So first of all, he was, you know, when we started, these numbers are pretty cool. Then when we started, when I met him in 2010, they were doing 2,000 cars a year. And then in 2014, I was 31,000 cars. That's when we started buying. In 2016, 76,000 cars. And last year, 1,800,000. So significant growth. And he made promises, if he met these metrics of EBITDA, of revenues, of market cap, that he would get this extraordinary compensation. And the compensation, when he started, when the contract was signed, it was the company's market value was $53 billion. It got as high as $1 trillion. And it's now $550 billion. I think in the next 10 years, we're probably going to make 4 or 5 times our money again in Tesla. So he's created tremendous wealth for people, and he was paid, if this contract is enforced, which I think it should be, he's paid $56 billion. So it's like winning the lottery, you know, if you, and Joe was talking about before, you win the lottery, you don't tell someone, oh, sorry, you won so much money, you have to give it back.
I remember thinking at the time that the compensation deal was a crazy setup, but I also remember thinking at the time that I never thought he'd hit any of the metrics.
No one
He's
did.
hit every one of the metrics. So it's hard to imagine taking that back and clawing it back.
Exactly. And so that's exactly how we viewed it. I said, man, if he hits this is fantastic. We're going to do so well. And again, I mean, he should have another contract going from this point going forward, where it's incented the same way, I'm hoping. So number 1, the contract. So 73% in 2018, 73% of the investors approved it. All of the disinterested parties who are directors, they approved it. And the people he has who are directors, these are not, just flakes. They are Larry Ellison, one of the wealthiest men in the world, Hiro Mizuno. He was the head of the Japanese, pension fund, the largest pension fund in the world, $1.5 trillion. Kathleen Thomas, Walgreens, Boots. So he had really, and of course, Robin Denholm, who came later. But they all approved this, and they all thought this was a fair, a fair agreement. So basically, number 1, all the disinterested directors approved it. Number two, that's the will of the company. The will of the company and the will of the shareholders, so I think he should be, it's a legally binding contract. And then who sued? You had an individual who was a shareholder for hire with 9 shares, sued. And it took him 5 years to get the derivative suit certified, but class action wasn't, so he doesn't really represent all the shareholders. And the lawyer who represented them, when you talk about getting lucky, he has applied to the court for payment of $5.6 billion. $5.6 billion. And then he is asking for the payment to be made in shares of Tesla stock, which are depressed because of this lawsuit. It's crazy. And so I think that, it's really unfair the way they're addressing this, and I think that he earned it, and he deserves it, and he should be paid it.
You've said for a long time, when we've asked you what your biggest concern about Tesla would be, is the key man theory, that so much is riding on Elon Musk being there. If he's not there, you don't think the company is worth the same. So what do you think happens if this package is not approved? What will Elon do?
I can't see inside of his mind, but I know that he has created tremendous value for everyone. I know he has a big stake in Tesla. But when I started in business in 1970, one of the people who really helped me at the very beginning of my career was Jay Pritzker. He's Tom Pritzker's dad, and he's the founder of Hyatt. And we were talking about arrangements, and he said, Ron, if you need to have a contract, then you're doing business you're doing business with the wrong person. You can't rely on a contract to do business, and you have to. He's a handshake guy. So if I say I'm going to do something, I do something. We said, as Tesla as a company, Elon, if you perform, this is what you're going to get. How are you going to go back and renege on that, especially when all the directors and all the shareholders approved it? It's crazy.
All right, guys, this is the part of the video where I break down the stocks that were mentioned in the CNBC clip. Basically, they just talked about Tesla today, so we're just going to break down Tesla a little more in depth. If you didn't know, the blue line is the 45-day moving average, and the green line is the 200-day. So we're well under the 200-day. We're hugging the 45 right now, making it support, which is looking pretty bullish. If we zoom out, make every single bar 1 week, you can see the picture just a little more clear. So back since November of 2021, we've basically just been getting rejected at this red trend line every time we get up to it. Starting in basically January of 2023, you can argue that we've started to make a kind of ascending support here. And then since August of 2023, we've started this descending trend line that we've respected. We broke below and then broke right back above. And now we kind of have another ascending support line. So that, guys, there's a lot of trend lines on the stock. There's a lot of ways for it to move, a lot of ways to read it. But we can see that we are kind of making a double bottom, you could argue. We are not at the very bottoms. We had a very nice jump back up to reclaim this descending trend line. What we need to do now going forward is we need to get back above 200. That would get us above the 45 week. And then we need to start getting back towards the 230. That would be really, really good. If we can get back above the 45 week and the 200 week moving average, that'll be looking very, very long-term bullish, guys. Once we break this red trend line, I'm not saying it will be the next time we get to it, but eventually we will break. If it breaks to the upside, it is going to be a rocket ship similar to how it went up the first time, guys. Look at that. Just astronomical stock. Now, we've had a cooling off period for the last 3 years. We've let the trend lines catch up. The moving averages are catching up. The price action's catching up. The earnings are catching up. He's talking very big about this stock. I'm invested in Tesla. I think it's a great stock, especially at these prices. If it breaks 150, it's coming to 100, maybe even lower. So that would look horrible. If we get back above this 45-day, we should be going towards the 200-day, then 250, then 300, 350, 400, guys. So it depends which way we snap. We are getting wedged pretty tight here, and there's going to be a pretty big move that happens eventually. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure and hit that like button and subscribe. I do this every day. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.